Osho's stories. How to be free. Once somebody asked Sufi mystic Al Hilaz Mansoor, how to be free? You all go on talking about freedom, freedom, but how to be free? He said it is very simple, just to see. They were sitting in a mosque with pillars like these. Al Hilaz went close to a pillar, caught hold of the pillar with both hands, and started shouting, "Help me! How can I be free from this pillar?" The man said, "Don't be mad. You yourself are clinging to the pillar. Nobody is doing anything. Neither is the pillar doing anything. What nonsense are you doing?" He said, "I am simply answering you. You had asked me how to be free. Have you ever asked anybody the art of not being free? That you know perfectly well. You go on creating new chains, new bondages. It is your own doing. Undo it, and it is good that it is your own doing, because you can undo it without anybody else's permission." Still, Al Hilaz was holding the pillar. The man said, "At least now I have understood the point. But please leave that pillar, because a crowd is gathering. Everybody knows you are mad, but I am feeling embarrassed to be with you." He said, "Only if you have really understood will I leave this pillar. Otherwise, I will die with this pillar." He said, "My God, to ask you a question is to create trouble." And the crowd started abusing the person. They said, "Why did you disturb Al Hilaz? What kind of question have you asked?" He said, "It is strange. I had asked a simple question, how to be free. Rather than answering, he went to the pillar, and he is holding the pillar, and he is shouting for help. That is why you all have gathered." And Al Hilaz was still shouting, "Help me! How can I be free?" Finally, the man said, "Forgive me, I will try, but don't make too much mockery of me. Leave that pillar." Mansoor said, "What do you think? Am I holding the pillar, or is the pillar holding me?" The same potatoes, the same chapatis. Whatever you have done, whatever you are doing, whatever you will do is not separate and apart from you. It is your own game. If you are suffering, it is your own choice. If you are blissful, it is your own choice. No one else is responsible. I was a newly appointed professor in a college. As the college was a good distance away from the town, the professors using to bring their lunch with them and sit together at one table during lunchtime. It was by chance that when the person sitting next to me opened his box and looked in, he said, "Again, it is potatoes and chapatis." I thought maybe he doesn't like potatoes and chapatis, but as I was new there, I didn't say anything. Next day, the same thing happened. He opened his lunch box, looked in, and sighed. The same potatoes, the same chapatis. So I said to him, "If you don't like these potatoes, why don't you tell your wife to make something else?" He said, "Wife? What wife? I make my lunch myself." This is your life. There is nobody else. If you laugh, you laugh. If you cry, you cry. No one else is responsible. Weight of the whole earth. I have heard about one teacher, a woman teacher in a primary school, and she asked children that, "Have you got any questions?" One small boy student, he said, "I have one question and I have been waiting. Whenever you ask, I will ask. What is the weight of the whole earth?" She became disturbed because she has never thought about it, never read about it. What is the weight of the whole earth? So she played a trick teachers know. They have to play tricks. She said, "Yes, the question is significant. Now tomorrow everybody has to find the answer." She needed time. So tomorrow I will ask the question, whosoever brings the right answer, there will be a present for him. All the children searched and searched, but they couldn't find, and the teacher ran to the library. The whole night she searched, and only just by the morning she could find the weight of the earth. She was very happy, and she came back to school, and the children were there, and they were exhausted. They said they couldn't find. We asked mom and dad, we asked everybody. Nobody knows. This question seems to be so difficult. The teacher laughed and she said, "This is not difficult. I know the answer, but I was just trying whether you could find it out or not. This is the weight of the earth." That small child who had raised the question, he stood again and he said, "With people or without, now the same situation." So Buddha says, it is not a question of thinking. You put the question and simply I look at it, and whatsoever is true is revealed. It is not a question of thinking and brooding about it. The answer is not coming as a logical. It is just a focusing of the right center. Buddha is like a torch, so wherever the torch moves, it reveals. Whatsoever the question, that is not the point. Buddha has the light, and whenever the light will come on any question, the answer will be revealed. The answer will come out of that light. It is a simple phenomenon, a revelation. When somebody asks you, you have to think about it. But how can you think if you don't know? If you know, there is no need to think. If you don't know, what you will do? You will search in the memory. You will find many clues. You will just do a patchwork. You don't know really, otherwise the response would have been immediate. Beyond hypocrisy, Gibran has a story. He says one night one mother and daughter were awakened suddenly because of a noise. They both were sleepwalkers, and the time the sudden noise happened in the neighborhood, they were both walking in the garden asleep. They were sleepwalkers. It must have been a shock, because in sleep the old woman, the mother, was saying to the daughter that because of you, you bitch, because of you, my youth is lost. You destroyed me, and now anybody who comes to the house looks at you. Nobody looks at me. A deep jealousy that comes to every mother when the daughter becomes young and beautiful. It happens to every mother, but it is inside. And the daughter was saying, "You old rotten, because of you I cannot enjoy life. You are the hindrance. Everywhere you are the hindrance, the obstacle. I cannot love, I cannot enjoy." And suddenly, because of the noise, they were both awakened. And the old woman said, "My child, what are you doing here? You may catch cold. Come inside." And the daughter said, "But what are you doing here? You were not feeling well, and this is cold night. Come, mother, come to the bed." The first thing that was happening was coming from the unconscious. Now they are again pretending. They have become awakened. Now the unconscious has gone back. The conscious has come in. Now they are hypocrites. Your conscious is hypocrisy. To be truly honest with one's own memories, one will have to really pass through arduous effort. And you have to be true whatsoever. You have to be nakedly true. You have to know what really you think about your father, about your mother, about your brother, about your sister really, and what you have in the past. Don't mix, don't change, don't polish. Let it be as it is. If this happens, then Patanjali says this will be a freedom. You will drop it. The whole thing is nonsense, and you will not like to project it again in the future, and then you will not be a hypocrite. You will be real, true, sincere. You will become authentic. And when you become authentic, you become like a rock. Nothing can change you. Nothing can create confusion. You become like a sword. You can always cut whatsoever is wrong. You can divide whatsoever is right from the wrong. And then a clarity of mind is achieved. That clarity can lead you towards meditation. That clarity can become the basic ground of to grow beyond. Way to be pure. It happened. A man used to come to a great saint and he would always ask, "Sir, one thing puzzles me. You are so innocent, so pure. How is this possible?" Suspicion arises in my mind that maybe you simply pretend. In this world of corruption, how can one be so pure and innocent and so virgin? How can one avoid being corrupted by the world? Maybe deep down you still carry the same thing, but on the surface you have maintained it. You have maintained it well. One day the man came. He again started to say the same thing, and the master said, "Listen, there is something more important to be said to you. Just show me your hand." He looked at his hand, became very sad, closed his eyes, and started to cry. The man said, "What is the matter? Why are you crying, sir? I have never seen you crying." He said, "I am crying because only 7 days are left. Within 7 days you will be gone. Your lifeline is cut. Next Sunday you will die. That is why I am crying. Now you can ask whatsoever you want to ask." "You wanted to ask something." The man said, "I have forgotten." "You have disturbed me very much. Only 7 days." Now this master was so loved by people, so much respected, that there was no reason to suspect that he would tell a lie. The man rushed home, fell ill, didn't move from his bed for 7 days, was sinking every day, stopped eating, couldn't sleep. The relatives gathered. On the seventh day, they were just waiting because the master had said that as the sun sets he would die, and there was just half an hour to go. The sun was just coming down, and relatives and friends and the wife and the children were crying, and the man was just sinking into death. Then the master came and said to the man, "I have one question to ask. In these 7 days, have you committed anything that you used to call sin, impurity, corruption, this and that? Did any idea come into your mind, any worldly idea?" The man opened his eyes with great difficulty. He said, "What are you talking about? I am dying. How can a man have any ideas of sin or of the world when he is dying? Only death was there around me. It was coming closer. In these 7 days, there was not a single worldly desire in me. I was only thinking of God. I was praying, repeating God's name." The master laughed. He said, "You can get up. You are not going to die. That was only a design to show you why I am pure. Death surrounds me continuously. Why does it matter whether it is coming in 7 days or 7 years or 70 years? It doesn't matter. It is only a question of time. It is coming. That much is certain. It is coming. When death is coming, this becomes very, very clear to your consciousness. Life goes through a great change, a radical change." The man started laughing. He said, "You played a joke." He was perfectly okay. Within minutes, he was okay. But he said, "Master, one thing. How could you lie?" The master said, "It is neither a lie nor a truth. It is a design, a Naqshbandi." Leaving the crowd behind, there is a Sufi story. A young seeker came to a great Sufi master. As he entered his room and saluted the master with great respect, the master said, "Good. That's perfectly good. What do you want?" He said, "I want to be initiated." The master said, "I can initiate you, but what about the crowd that is following you?" He looked back. There was nobody. He said, "What crowd? I am alone." The master said, "You are not. Just close your eyes and see the crowd." The young man closed his eyes and he was surprised. There was the whole crowd that he had left behind, his mother weeping, his father telling him not to go, his wife in tears, his friends preventing him, every face, the whole crowd. And the master said, "Now open your eyes. Can you say that people are not following you?" He said, "I am sorry. You are right. The whole crowd I am carrying within myself." So the master said, "Your first work is to get rid of the crowd. This is your problem. And once you are finished with the crowd, things are very simple. The day you are finished with the crowd, I will initiate you. Because I can only initiate you, I cannot initiate this crowd." The story is meaningful even when you are alone, you are not alone, and a man of meditation, even though in the crowd of thousands of people, is alone. Shadow Fox. Existence doesn't care who you are, American or Russian, it never yields to anybody. It simply goes in its own way. By making an effort to fulfill your desires, to force nature, existence to come behind you, you are creating causes of pain, suffering. The moment you understand, you drop these causes, and the dropping of the causes is the disappearance of all your miseries. It was your projection. There is a Sufi story about a very cunning fox. All foxes are cunning, but there are politician foxes too. This happened to be a politician fox, very cunning. One day she woke up and, finding herself very hungry, came out of her cave in search of some breakfast. The sun was rising and she saw her shadow so long she couldn't believe it. She said, "My God, I am that big. Now, where am I going to get my breakfast? I will need at least one camel. Less than that won't do. My shadow is so big, naturally, I must be as big. It is logical, perfectly. You cannot say she is wrong. You also know yourself only in the mirror. There is no other way. Have you known yourself in any other way except through a shadow? So don't laugh at the poor fox. How can she conceive that a small thing can make such a big shadow? It is very natural to conclude that if the shadow is so big, you must be as big. And when it comes to feeling oneself big, who wants to argue against it? When anything gives you the sense of bigness, you don't want to go into details to find whether it is true or wrong, whether it is logically right, scientifically provable. No, your whole being is so enchanted. The fox really felt that big. You could see her walk changed, but where can she find a camel for her breakfast? And even she can find a camel, it is going to be absolutely pointless. She cannot make a breakfast out of a camel. She searches, she finds many small animals, which would have been enough for an other day, but today is different. She doesn't bother about all those small creatures. They will be lost just in her teeth. She needs a camel, an elephant, or something big. But she finds nothing big. The sun goes on rising higher and higher, and she goes on becoming hungrier and hungrier. When the sun is just exactly above her head, she looked again at her shadow. It has shrunken so small it is just underneath her. She says, "My God, hunger does things to people. Just one thing, I have missed breakfast, and look what has happened to my poor shelf. In the morning I was so big, only half a day has passed, and this is my situation now. Even if I can get any small creature, that may be too much. I may not be able to digest it.